Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome to my channel. This is the second video in a continuing series as I rebuild this basket case 1987 Honda XL600r. We'll be concentrating on the bottom end this week, mostly looking for oil seals and gaskets that need to be replaced, but we're also going to be looking for wear as we venture deeper into the engine. As always, I'll do my best to give you the best visuals I can with the equipment that I have. If you like what you see, please do me a favor and subscribe. All right, let's get to it. Before I get too far into this, I want to show you my little engine stand here that I've made specifically for these engines. And I can actually adapt it to other engines, but this is the one I've been using it for. So all you have to do, take out that pin, and then you can rotate the engine over like that. It nests here. You can put the pin in if you want, and then you can clean the bottom of the engine, and this is particularly handy when you want to paint it. As you probably noticed in my last video, I've got a little stand for the bike as well, a little service stand. I just find these things enormously valuable and helpful in just dealing with these bikes efficiently and easily. So this is the stator side of the engine, okay? So it's the stator side, and the other side is the clutch side. Underneath here is where your stator is. Underneath these two cap screws here, so this is for timing. That's so you can get a socket on it and turn it. And then up here is your viewing port, so that you can actually see the timing mark on the flywheel. Okay, this is the arm that engages the clutch. It goes down, and then there's a tube that runs across and does all the work. Okay, over here is where the cable comes in. Okay, it attaches sort of right here, pulls against that to engage the clutch. This stuff in here is for wiring that goes down. That's your neutral switch. Okay, that of course is where your sprocket goes. There's a seal on there that's going to need to be replaced. The gear selection lever, once again, there's a seal in there that's going to be needing to be replaced. If you can see it, is the oil drain plug. Okay, right beside that is the serial number for the engine. Overall, this side's in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of paint kind of scuffed off it, but you know, that's to be expected. Certainly a lot of grease, a lot of oil spray, which is also expected, especially around the sprocket area. We're going to take it all apart, paint each piece individually, and we're going to make it look amazing. On the top of the engine, so this is obviously where the cylinder goes. This is the connecting rod. It's the small end of the connecting rod. We're going to talk about this a fair bit later. The condition of this right here is going to determine whether or not I need to go into this engine, split it, and replace this, or if this is within spec and it's gonna work for us. This engine has been very, very good for being in spec, so I'm really hoping that that's going to play nice with us. All right, is the breather from the crankcase. It goes up and feeds into an emissions control unit, which I actually have for this bike. It's the first bike I've ever had that's had a complete system. That's why I like this bike, is it's complete, which is kind of rare. At least I'm finding it's kind of rare. Here we have our timing chain, okay? I don't know what condition it's in. I'll take it out and take a look. I have to take that cover off first. This is the guide. It keeps the chain in line from flipping all over the place. This looks to be in good shape, but once again, I'll take it out, clean it up, and I'll make the assessment just a little bit later. This here is the plug that leads into what they call a pulse generator. This takes a reading off of the crank and tells the engine when to fire. So it's a very important part of the timing. It's kind of wired in. Once again, when this gets split off, you'll see very clearly how that comes in and out. Underneath this little cover is the oil filter. So there's a gasket on the inside of that as well. Comes in the kit. You can see this little hole is where the oil comes out from the oil pump and leads up to the top end. I showed you the tube from there all the way up to the valve cover in the last video, and we're going to talk about it again. Everything we're going to talk about in a lot more detail. I just wanted to give you the landmarks on this thing before I started tearing it down. Obviously, we've got the Kickstarter on this side as well. This one's in pretty good shape. There's very little play in this. Some of these get quite sloppy over the years, and they start to bounce around and cause all kinds of trouble. This one's quite nice. Okay. Now, if you look very closely right in here at the base of the kickstart, you're going to see this little lever coming out that leads into this cable. So most bikes will have this disconnected. There's an issue where if it's not properly adjusted, it may hold one of your exhaust valves open just a little bit, and that'd be very bad, right? You would have trouble building compression, you would have backfires, all kinds of problems. All you really need to do is use the lever on your handlebar, make sure that it's adjusted properly, and you'll never have a problem. You don't need this one at all. I follow a YouTube channel, Diesel Creek, Matt. He uses these things called pig mats. I'm not sure that they're available in Canada, and if they are, well, they're probably not as easy to get as going to the dollar store and picking up puppy training pads, okay? All right, the first thing I want to do is just spray this thing down and start kind of clearing some of this easy grease before I split it up. This is just, once again, Dawn dish soap, about an ounce in a liter. I'll do this multiple times. The first one, everything's really greasy and ugly. I just want to get some soap on it and let it start to do its penetration thing, get in and start breaking it up. It's going to take a few applications, I know that, but that's all right. In the end, I just want this to be a clean engine, and I'd like to clean as much of the big stuff off before I take the covers apart, so that I can kind of keep things under control. Now here's where this engine thing comes in so handy. Just tip it over like that and spray the bottom. Right. There's a lot of oil down here. Okay, so that's it. This is warm water, by the way. It won't take all that long. It'll start to do its thing. I'll take a brush and it'll come off. It's a patience thing, but it works. And it's very, very inexpensive. There we go. While I'm over here, I might as well open up this. Oh, that's a tight one. Open up this drain. There's absolutely no need for this to be this tight. There we go. Out she comes. Now, there's not very much oil in here. Like I say, it's a dry sump, but there is some that stays residually, and there might be none. This engine's been moved around quite a bit. It might have even been drained for all I know, but I thought I'd better just check that before I get into it too far. So there you go, problem solved. Another part down. Look at this poor thing. That's the aluminum thrust washer there. I'll have to peel that off somehow. I'll put a new one on, of course. Copper probably, or whatever comes with the kit. It doesn't even look like it was the right size, does it? Huh, well, whatever. It's off now, and we'll keep moving on that. Might as well start taking the easy stuff off. So this is the gear shifter, just one bolt, which I believe has to come all the way out if I remember correctly. Yeah, so that bolt kind of slides into that little recess. That's what holds it on. Put everything back together the way I found it. So I'll start collecting those little bits and pieces in a bucket, and I'll turn on the ultrasonic cleaner and give them a good clean all at once. I'll do it in a big batch. Okay, kickstart, same kind of thing, single bolt. Oh man, why are these so tight? Why are these so tight? Anyway, I guess that's okay. Same thing. It's got to come all the way out because the shaft of the bolt actually recesses into a little groove, which keeps it from falling off. This doesn't look original to me. Pretty sure there wasn't a lock washer on there originally, but maybe. Oh yeah, that one comes off, no problem. Okay, just gonna give that area a little clean. So what I do is I take popsicle sticks, I make a little cut, use an angled side, and I have a round side, and then I just kind of go in, just break it up. Just break it up. You can see though that it's starting, like this Dawn is an amazing thing. It starts to break it up pretty quick. The heat doesn't hurt. Obviously where it's thicker, it doesn't get through to, but that's the point of cleaning it up right here. I'm probably just gonna turn the tunes on, maybe spend about 45 minutes and just keep going at this. Okay, that's good enough for now. I got a majority of the big chunky stuff off. Once this Dawn gets a chance to sit for even a day or two, it gets right in, soaks right into this kind of gunge, and it loosens it right up. And actually, if you just let it dry, it's fairly warm in here from the wood stove. If you just let it dry, a lot of times you can just take an air hose and just blow it right out. Anyway, I've got my cardboard cutout I just made to keep track of these bolts, because they're just about all different lengths. So none of these bolts were tight at all. So I suspect somebody's been in here. There's no wires coming out, so I don't think there's a stator in here. Yeah, no stator. Huh. Okay, here we go. It should come off. This side's a little trickier than the other side because you got to deal with the kickstart shaft, but it'll come off. You just gotta take your time. This is separated, right? There we go. Just gotta take your time, kind of tap it. It looks like this one might be silicone together too, which is always a added thrill. There we go. And this little bit of silicone, you just gotta kind of break the seal, and then you're good to go. Okay. Yeah, there's a pin in this corner too, I believe. Yep, right there. Okay. There you go. Okay, see, there's a locating pin in this one. Yeah, that's what's holding everything up, this locating pin. Very light, slow progress. That's pretty much off now. Okay, very carefully, I can put this in there and just, there we go. Our friend the lever. Awesome. Right here, okay, there's a little fitting that goes between the case and the oil pump, okay? It falls out very, very easily, and it's an incredibly important little part. When you're putting it back in, you also have to be careful. But if you don't have that in there, then the oil doesn't really build pressure and push up to the cylinder head. And believe me, these bikes have enough trouble already with hot oil and oil. So you got to make sure that little collar is in there. Okay, let's take a little better look in here. So there is the other side. That's the oil pump right there. And there's the other side where that little nipple I was just telling you about goes. Okay. Oil pump, this is that pulse generator that picks up off of the crankshaft. Comes out here, there's a little thing there that it catches, sends a signal to trigger the spark. Cam chain all tucked away in here. We'll worry about that later. Okay, actually there's not much sludge in here at all, which is good. Little bit. This is the mechanism for the kickstart, and this of course is the clutch. There's this little strainer that's built into the bottom of these engines. Yeah, so this screen picks up a bunch of coarse junk as it passes through. What I'm curious about is if it's metal. Okay, so it's not. It feels, yeah, it's more like it's just mud or grease that's somehow gotten in there, you know, like the stuff that was on the outside of the case. It just breaks apart, like once you crush it, it just breaks up. So it's not harmless, but it's not a sign of wear, I don't think, which is good. So look at this cover. There's a few gaskets that are sort of important. One of the shafts run through here. There's actually oil that passes through the middle of that shaft. Where it attaches to the oil pump, there's one right there, and I believe there's a matching one on the oil pump. I'll double check that. What do we got here? That's a sunflower seed in there. There you go. These things happen, right? A sunflower seed. On this side, there is this seal that goes around the kickstart. This seal here, I don't really worry about too much. If I might even have, if I have it, I have it. If not, I don't. Okay, so there's that. There we go. Okay, so there's a seal right there, but that comes in that gasket kit that I ordered from the States yesterday. I'm up in Canada, so a lot of the stuff I have to order is from the States. It takes a little while to get here, but that's just the nature of it. Okay, so that seal's on its way. Filter, I've got brand new filters, no big deal. That spring, very important. There's a spring in the bottom, and that is really important, so you don't want to lose that. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'll take the spring, put it with the cover. Oh, by the way, the cover, it's very common for these things to break right in here. All right, there's no need to torque this thing to death. There's no need for it at all. That seal does the job, and the bolts just hold it in place, okay? Tightening it further doesn't compress anything. It just risks breaking the very fragile metal. Just a word of advice. There's also this little bolt. I kind of wonder if it isn't maybe to, I don't know, verify the oil level. I mean, something like that, or I don't know. I don't know what it's there for. I'll find out. Crush washer on it too. A little investigating, and like I said, a couple years ago I did another engine, exactly the same thing. So there's the kickstart one right there. Okay, this one is that one right there, the inner one. Okay, the only one that I don't have is that one right there. Okay, so I'll order that. I got the part number. So I think I am going to go ahead and order that gasket there because it does actually move just a little bit. And like I said, I hate oil leaks. I just hate them. So I might as well replace it. Then I won't have a leak. Okay, for the stator cover, it's pretty straightforward, not much to it. I'll have to pop these two out. I've got a special thing that goes in there so it doesn't mar them up too bad. These ones are in pretty good shape actually, so I don't want to screw those up. The only thing on this is the lever here for the clutch. So it pushes this little device here, that little pusher. Okay, that little pusher, very important piece. Okay, so it pushes that thing out. There's an oil seal underneath there, underneath that spring. And I've got that one too, clutch shaft. These are hard to get off right now. I'm gonna heat this up and see if those will come off a little bit easier. I'm gonna soak these in the ultrasonic cleaner. I soak everything in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's like my dishwasher almost. You know, sometimes I gotta flip them around because they don't fit, but it does a great job cleaning this stuff. As long as you use, you know, just dish soap, right? You're not gonna hurt anything. So there's two seals on the actual engine case that have to be replaced. There's the big one here around the output shaft where the sprocket goes. Okay, and then down here, this is the gear shift. There's an oil seal around that as well. I've got this one, but I don't seem to have this one. So I'll have to put that on my list. So this is the small end of the crankshaft. Okay, that's where the wrist pin goes in for the piston. It's a pretty nice fit. There's just a little tiny bit of wiggle to it. It's nothing crazy. And keep in mind there's no oil in there right now. I don't have a bore gauge that goes down that small. Yeah, best I can do is 2384. Obviously that can't be because look, it still fits in. But I'm reasonably certain that that's a nice tight fit. Just go downstairs on my other engine, which I happen to know is a bad fit, and I'll show you what a bad fit looks like.
That sounds horrible, right? Like that's movement. That's not allowance for oil. That's allowance for a toothpick.
It's just a wee tiny little bit of play. It really isn't very much. And this bike showed, I forget what it showed, but not that many kilometers on the clock, and I just can't imagine the bottom end being worn out at this point, because everything else on this bike so far has been really nice, except for this paint. I don't quite understand that, but there's the guide. The oil pump has this line that runs up, okay, and it's held in. That will actually come off with the oil pump. Yeah, you don't need to force these things, they'll come right out for you. There's another one of those little orifices with an O-ring. I did order all the O-rings, including that one, because I knew I would need it. That's all you really have to take apart, you know. The kickstart mechanism down here, just leave it. You have to mess around with the spring back there. All the gears and everything look great, so you know that's what we're looking for. Once again, I'm not going to split this engine. There doesn't seem to be any need for it. All right, so you're always looking for tales of the past, right? When you go into these things. So right here at the bottom, kind of where the oil sits, is just a little tiny bit of sediment. Okay, so sediment is evidence. That's nice to have around, just to see what's going on. There's not very much really, and it's really smooth. Yeah, and it's really smooth, almost like graphite, you know. So you know you expect to see that, especially since the top end was gone, right? So, but that's not bad at all. I'm really encouraged. It also kind of backs up my assumption that the inside of this thing is okay, because it'd be a lot worse if there was a problem, you know, in there. Last thing I'm going to do, I've moved over to penetrating oil to soak everything. Just for the last little bit, it'll loosen the last little bit of this gasket in a couple hours, and then I just kind of blow it in there just because. Okay, that's everything taken out of the engine. It's I've just got to check a few things, make sure that everything's in spec, and then we can move on. Okay, this is the inner oil line. It returns oil from the transmission to the pump. It's got a couple of small little O-rings on here. I'm pretty sure they come in the kit. Oil pump, probably nothing wrong with this thing at all. I'll tear it apart and measure it up actually at reassembly. I know I've got a good one downstairs if this one doesn't pan out, but I can't see why it wouldn't. The cam chain guide, you just want to make sure that it's, you know, not missing any pieces or has any grooves kind of burnt into it. This one looks fine. I'm just gonna clean it up and put it straight back into the bike. Here's the two oil seals for the gear shift lever and the output shaft. Got the replacement here for the output shaft, but I'm going to have to order the one for the gear shift. Got about 3 of these things downstairs, and all of them look like this. Not really much to them. So, pump. Here's our cam chain. And then there's the drive gears for the entire timing system. That's the little collar. That's where the pulse gets picked up off of by the pulse generator. This stuff all looks really good. You know, those gears are in really nice shape. Like the bottom end on these bikes is so well built. It's never gonna run out. This is 80s Honda, you know, like pretty much defines reliability. Okay, so here's our clutch. Cover. Okay, when you do one of these things, you always have to look at the teeth, okay? Because over time, there's the other side as well, but over time the clutch will actually kind of seat itself into a little groove, and then they get stuck. So you have to check these things for wear. That's really looking really good. Got the springs. This is the pusher. All this fits into there like so. The rod that I pull out fits in like so, so it gets pushed across, so it pushes the clutch. So that's a wear surface right there, and it's looking really nice. There's no issues there. It's beauty. Okay, the only way to know about the clutch is to measure it. 2.97. Pretty much assume around 289. So they ship from the factory right around 3 millimeters, okay? And you are supposed to 297, okay, you're supposed to dispose of them at 2.6. So there's a lot of life left in those clutch plates, which is awesome. I found whatever I could find that was red would need painting, so that's off of the body mount, and this is the cover for the sprocket. So I will, you know, I'll clean these up, begin the process. Okay, so that's it for this week. I gotta say, I am really happy with everything I found in this engine. I had a good feeling about it when I bought it, and it's, you know, sometimes things actually work out. So I'll keep this up, have another episode for you probably by next weekend. Thank you very much for watching, especially all the way through. If you're listening to me now, why don't you hit the subscribe button and pay attention? I'm going to have a lot of cool stuff coming up. Thanks for watching.